When Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez turned Venice into the stage for the wedding of the century, the world was left stunned, not only by the extravagance but also by the rumors it ignited. Was this merely a love story or the opening act of fashion's most powerful takeover? Venice, the city of legendary canals, has always stood as a symbol of romance and eternal love. Yet in late June 2025, it transformed into the center of the world when Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez staged one of the most extravagant weddings in modern history. What began as a vow of love unfolded as a global spectacle, where every detail was curated to leave a permanent mark on public memory. The three-day wedding celebration turned Venice into a stage of opulence never seen before. Private islands were rented to guarantee absolute exclusivity for the high-profile guest list. Renaissance frescoes inside ancient palaces became backdrops for dances that stretched until dawn. And then came the voice of Andrea Bocelli, one of opera's greatest icons, filling the night with timeless beauty and pushing the atmosphere into something resembling a dream of pure luxury. The cost of this celebration was estimated at $50 million, a figure staggering enough to draw global headlines. But the guest list was even more astonishing. This was not just a wedding. It felt like an event on par with the Academy Awards. Oprah Winfrey clinked champagne glasses with Kim and Khloe Kardashian, while Tom Brady casually conversed with Leonardo DiCaprio. The ceremony became a gathering of some of the most powerful names in entertainment, sports, media, and business, all orbiting the couple at the center of the spectacle. All eyes, of course, were on Lauren Sanchez. The bride did not wear a single wedding dress, but showcased a collection of more than 27 custom creations from Dolce & Gabbana, each stitched and tailored with absolute precision. These gowns weren't merely about glamour. They symbolized Sanchez's arrival as a central figure in the global intersection of fashion, power, and influence. The atmosphere in Venice during those days was like a fusion of a royal coronation and a high-fashion runway. Gondolas glided across the canals, shimmering with light, while street corners transformed into theatrical stages of artistic design. The entire city seemed to drown in the glow of a spectacle the world had never witnessed before. Yet what made this event so extraordinary was not just the price tag or the visible luxury. It was the overwhelming emotional response it provoked. People around the globe were caught between awe and skepticism, admiration and disbelief. The excess wasn't merely a testament to Bezos' financial might. It carried the weight of a message. This wedding was not just a celebration, it was a declaration of power. In a world increasingly sensitive to the issue of wealth inequality, the idea that a couple could spend tens of millions of dollars on a wedding sparked divided reactions. But whether one loved it or despised it, no one could deny that the Venice wedding had cemented itself as a cultural milestone. A place where love, wealth, and power collided to create a performance the world will recall for years to come. If the sheer extravagance of the Venice wedding was enough to leave the world breathless, the rumors that surfaced on that very day pushed the story into even more dramatic territory. On the morning of the ceremony, Vogue surprised everyone by releasing a special digital edition, a cover featuring Lauren Sanchez in her wedding gown, photographed by the legendary Annie Leibovitz. This wasn't just a picture, it was a symbol. The new wife of one of the world's most powerful men appeared on the front page of the planet's most influential fashion magazine. What made it even more uncanny was the timing of another announcement. Anna Wintour, who had reigned as editor-in-chief of American Vogue for 37 years, declared she would step down from her U.S. role, though she would retain her global leadership position. For insiders in fashion and media, this news hit like an earthquake. And when placed side by side with the Sanchez cover, the two events suddenly looked like perfectly aligned puzzle pieces. A question began echoing everywhere. Had Jeff Bezos orchestrated this moment for his wife, and was he secretly preparing to buy Condé Nast, Vogue's parent company? The whispers quickly evolved into full-fledged theories. Just weeks later, regulatory filings revealed that Bezos had sold 25 million Amazon shares, netting around $5.7 billion, a sum almost identical to Condé Nast's estimated $5 billion valuation. For many, the numbers were simply too perfect to ignore. Coincidence at that level seemed improbable. Conspiracy theorists concluded the cash was being set aside for a monumental takeover. What made the speculation so sticky was Bezos' own track record. In 2013, he shocked the media industry by purchasing the Washington Post for $250 million, promising to revitalize the paper and safeguard its independence. Over the years, he funneled resources into the newsroom, modernized its technology, and saw its subscriber base soar. That move had already proven Bezos wasn't merely a tech entrepreneur, he was a collector of influence. The idea that he might now gift Vogue to his new bride, a woman already deeply tied to media and entertainment, felt like a logical extension of his empire building. Social media platforms, tabloids, and YouTubers wasted no time amplifying the story. On TikTok, videos spread with captions screaming, "Rocket Man sells shares, buys Vogue, new wife gets cover, you decide." Comment sections were flooded with cynicism. How much did Jeff pay for this cover? And I didn't know you could buy a Vogue cover now. Meanwhile, UK tabloids fanned the flames, citing unnamed insiders who claimed that Anna Wintour herself was brokering the deal, and that her exit was part of a carefully staged handover. Bloggers and newsletters echoed the narrative, presenting it as a masterfully choreographed plan. Wintour steps aside, Sanchez graces the cover, and Bezos prepares to sign the deal of the century. And so what began as a romantic magazine cover turned into a global conspiracy theory. The Venice wedding wasn't just a symbol of love and luxury. It became the catalyst for fevered speculation about power, ambition, and the hidden calculations lurking behind the glamorous spotlight. What began as whispers soon spiraled into a global media storm. Once social media entered the scene, the narrative took on a life of its own. On TikTok, countless videos appeared with suspenseful background music, splicing together clips of Jeff Bezos' Blue Origin rockets with the caption, "Rocket Man sells shares, buys Vogue, new wife gets cover, you decide." Every share, every comment acted like fuel thrown onto a raging fire, driving the rumor into frenzy. Photos from the wedding flooded Instagram, but it wasn't the dazzling gowns or the A-list guests that dominated conversations. Instead, one question kept repeating: did Jeff Bezos secretly buy Vogue as a wedding gift? Influencers added their voices, some claiming with certainty that no one lands a Vogue cover on their wedding day without immense money and power behind it. These statements, however unverified, resonated because they fed the public's appetite for mystery and suspicion. The drama reached another level when British tabloids weighed in, citing insider sources who alleged that Anna Wintour herself was secretly brokering the deal. Stories painted a vivid picture, a carefully staged transfer of power where Wintour stepped aside. Vogue streamlined its operations to make itself more attractive to buyers, and Lauren Sanchez's cover served as the ceremonial unveiling of a new dynasty. Lacking hard evidence, the claims were nonetheless irresistible, too juicy for audiences to ignore. Bloggers and newsletter writers poured even more gasoline onto the fire. They dissected every minor detail: the layoffs at Condé Nast, the office closures, Wintour shifting into a global role rather than her American position, presenting them as proof of a larger scheme. With fast-paced, breathless storytelling, they strung together unrelated events into what felt like a chillingly plausible conspiracy about power and control. As the rumors spread, the public split into two sharply divided camps. On one side were those enthralled, who framed it as the most romantic power play in history. A billionaire not only offering a ring but an entire media empire to his bride. On the other side were critics who fumed, mocking it as tone-deaf excess. While the world grapples with crises, they turn love into a spectacle of spending and media manipulation. The tension hit its peak when additional rumors surfaced. One of Sanchez's dresses allegedly stolen from her suite in Venice. Bezos rumored to have invested in actress Sydney Sweeney's lingerie line, and claims that wedding guests had to sign NDAs to attend. Each of these smaller stories was inflated into evidence of something hidden, layered, and sinister. By then, the Venice wedding was no longer seen as a celebration of love. It was reframed as an opulent play shrouded in secrecy. This was the climax of emotion the public experienced: curiosity evolving into suspicion, suspicion into high drama, and finally a deep polarization of opinion. At that point, truth itself became secondary. Right or wrong, fact or fiction, The story was already too perfect to disbelieve. After the storm of rumors swept across media and social platforms, a new emotional wave emerged: skepticism and rebuttal. As the story of Jeff Bezos preparing to buy Vogue became a hot topic everywhere, many began to question, was it really true, or was it simply a perfect drama crafted from coincidences? The official response, at least, was quite clear. Regulatory filings showed that Bezos' stock sales fell under a prearranged plan known as 10b-51. These plans require company insiders to register the number and timing of shares to be sold months in advance, precisely to avoid accusations of insider trading. In fact, Bezos had been using this system for years, often selling even larger amounts. In 2024, for example, he sold as many as 75 million shares, netting over $13 billion. Seen from this perspective, the 25 million shares sold in 2025 hardly looked unusual. Condé Nast itself quickly stepped in to quash the speculation, stating firmly that the company had no intention of selling and that Vogue remained under the stewardship of the Newhouse family. A person close to Bezos bluntly called the rumors completely untrue. Unlike the 2013 acquisition of the Washington Post, which was marked by legal filings and press releases, this time there was no trace of a real deal. No documents, no credible insiders, no official discussions in the industry. Financial analysts also pointed to far more plausible explanations. Bezos' space company Blue Origin consumes billions annually in research, development, orbital rocket design, lunar landers, and tourist spaceflight projects. Bezos himself has openly admitted that he sells about $1 billion of Amazon stock each year to fund his space dream. On top of this, his philanthropic commitments are vast. In 2025 alone, he donated $190 million worth of shares to nonprofits. From this perspective, the stock sale aligned perfectly with his established pattern of funding Blue Origin and supporting charitable causes. As these facts surfaced, the emotional current began to shift. Skepticism grew louder. Perhaps all the things people had eagerly believed and shared online were nothing more than an inflated tale. Were we all simply caught in a web of loosely connected events where coincidences were repackaged as proof of a grand conspiracy? The mood at this stage was no longer the feverish excitement of earlier days, but a murky mix where reason and emotion collided. On the one hand, the rumor was almost too delicious to let go of. A billionaire gifting Vogue to his bride was a story too cinematic to dismiss. On the other hand, the hard evidence pointed elsewhere, forcing many to reconsider. The Venice wedding, once seen as a spectacle of love, then as the center of a conspiracy, now became something else. A cautionary tale about how fact and fiction blur in the public imagination. It showed how easily people are swept up by narratives that play to their curiosity, their suspicions, and their hunger for drama, even when the truth, quietly and firmly, is far less sensational. If the rumors had stirred curiosity and drama, the next wave of public reaction carried a very different tone: outrage and criticism. As Jeff Bezos and Lauren Sanchez's Venetian wedding spread across the world, its extravagance was quickly juxtaposed with harsher realities: economic crises, widening inequality, and questions about the moral responsibilities of the ultra-wealthy. Many celebrities did not hesitate to mock the spectacle. Rosie O'Donnell wrote a poem ridiculing the wedding as an egregious display of wealth, even calling Sanchez a fake fembot wife. Meghan McCain criticized the couple for taking over an entire city they had no ties to. Meanwhile, actresses Mia Farrow and Rosanna Arquette openly compared Sanchez to Bezos' ex-wife, Mackenzie Scott, who has quietly donated over $17 billion to hundreds of charities since 2020. Placed side by side, the contrast was striking. One woman giving silently to change lives, the other standing in the spotlight of a lavish performance. Environmental activists also seized on the moment. They accused the couple of hypocrisy, flying hundreds of guests to Venice on private jets, while simultaneously promoting climate initiatives through the Bezos Earth Fund. Analysts went further, calculating that the three-day wedding produced more carbon emissions than the annual footprint of some small countries. Adding to the criticism, Vogue's release of Sanchez's wedding day cover intensified